Anda sedang menonton 100 Hari Malaysia Baru bersama saya. Pada hari ini kita akan menemu ramah melalui fona 3 ahli panel berkaitan dengan pemerdagangan duit ataupun mata wang dunia. Ini berkaitan dengan isu mata wang Turki lira yang telah jatuh mendadak. Sebagai latar belakang, mata wang Turki iaitu lira telah pun kehilangan lebih daripada 45% daripada nilainya tahun ini, dan mata wang itu mencatatkan rekod baru yang terendah pada hari ini iaitu 7.24 berbanding dolar Amerika dalam dagangan Asia Pasifik pada awal hari Selasa. Jadi kita hendak memahami bagaimanakah perubahan lira ini mengimpak mata wang kami sendiri iaitu ringgit, dan juga bagaimana persepsi perdagangan ataupun trade war di antara Turki dan Amerika akan menjejaskan pasaran-pasaran ekonomi dunia, terutamanya pasaran ekonomi di Malaysia dan serantau di Asia Tenggara. Maka dengan ini saya menjemput seorang pakar mata wang iaitu Jameel Ahmad yang sekarang berada di Cyprus untuk memahami bagaimana impak mata wang lira dengan bagaimana perubahan mata wang itu di dagangan dunia pada hari ini. Jameel, thanks for joining me today.
Jameel, thank you very much for having me.
Right, let's understand a little bit about the background of the fall of the Turkish lira in the past few weeks.
Sure. So, Turkish lira crisis is one of the biggest stories in the global financial markets as it stands, and it's been on my radar now for a good couple of months. However, over the past couple of days, it has intensified. We saw one of the biggest currency sell-offs on Friday, which also lent into Monday that we've seen for many years, and this impacted emerging market FX as a whole. So it impacted the Mexican peso, it impacted the Malaysian ringgit, it was felt as far as South Africa with the rand. It was a general emerging market story. Now, in terms of the context, there's many concerns over what's going on right now with the Turkish economy and specifically the Turkish currency. President Erdogan, when he was re-campaigning for his re-election, which he also won just a few months back, he was very explicit that he wanted to exert influence into central bank policy and economic matters. So investors are very alarmed about the potential for central bank independence to be a threat, and they're very surprised that just a couple of weeks ago, despite the lira falling as much at its peak as 80% this year, amazing 80%, the central bank still did not raise interest rates. On top of this, you've got the currency crisis, which is going to impact inflation, the current account deficit, and there's now this emerging and ongoing political dispute between the United States and Turkey. All of these combined is presenting a very negative market environment for the Turkish lira.
There has been some reactions from the White House earlier today where the White House said that the increased tariff of some of the sectors, including steel and aluminium, is not part of why the lira is undergoing this disastrous downward trend. Is this kind of statement something that the market can actually, take into consideration?
Absolutely. There's a number of different factors that has combined together towards this very negative market sentiment. It's not just US and Turkey political tensions. You've got United States and Russia, United States and Iran still lingers in the background. Of course, we've then got this whole global trade war story where at the heart of it, you've got China and the United States, stronger US dollar, and there's so many different uncertainties in the market that it's really impacting the trend of global currencies. The only consistencies we really see is that the dollar continues to get stronger. Japanese yen remains sought as a safe haven. Elsewhere, every currency is mostly suffering against the US dollar, including emerging market currencies and our major currencies such as the British pound and the euro.
Now, I'm going to take you a little bit outside of your comfort zone. I'm going to discuss a little bit about politics. Do you think that this is a story more about politics than economy? How serious do we look at the fact of the trade war between Turkey and the US following this story, and how do you think it impacts not just the currencies of emerging markets, but how the emerging markets trade with each other, particularly with US and with Turkey?
It's a mixture of both, to be honest. You've got this unpredictable nature of political risk, something that we're becoming very accustomed to with unconventional leaders being in place now, that seems to have a more and more sensitive impact on the global financial markets. There's a very strong argument now that political risk is the main thing that investors look out for, and our traditional market economic data such as GDP releases, jobs reports, and very traditional data and economic releases is no longer so important for investors to monitor while this unpredictable political risk is in play. Now, in reference to the second part, emerging markets and our main global markets can still continue to make trade deals. They can still trade with each other. But of course, when there's such wild currency fluctuations, this does impact your price of imports, same way it impacts your price of exports. And the most interesting theory that's starting to emerge now is whether this rampant concerns over the US dollar and over the protectionist nature of the Trump administration could potentially change the game somewhat in terms of the US dollar eventually not being the world's reserve currency and the trading currency, just due to the unpredictable volatility that all currencies are having to deal with.
You know, last question from me. Do you think that the ringgit will see dramatic changes, at least in this week?
There is a likelihood of prolonged volatility. The market sentiment continues to be very negative towards the EMs. The dollar continues to get stronger and stronger. So it wouldn't surprise me if the ringgit anytime soon hits 410 against the dollar, perhaps even lower over the medium term. Again, this is not something to do with the Malaysian economy or the Malaysian markets. No reason for investors to panic as such within Malaysia. However, this global trend of buying the dollar continues to weigh on emerging market FX.
Right, thank you Jameel Ahmad. Berikut adalah hasil perbualan saya dengan Jameel Ahmad, Ketua Perdagangan Mata Wang Global ataupun Mata Wang Dunia FXTM yang berada di Cyprus. Kita rehat kembali, sekembali nanti kita akan menemu ramah seorang lagi pakar ekonomi tentang isu mata wang Turki lira yang telah jatuh mendadak baru-baru ini. Jangan ke mana. Anda sedang menonton 100 Hari Malaysia Baru bersama saya, Ibrahim Sani. Topik perbincangan kami pada hari ini adalah berdasarkan kejatuhan mata wang Turki lira yang telah jatuh mendadak sebanyak 80% susut nilai daripada awal tahun ini. Antara perkara-perkara yang telah dilaksanakan di Turki termasuk Kementerian Industri mereka mengumumkan pengaktifan sebanyak 1.2 bilion US dollar untuk pengeluaran industri Turki. Ada juga usaha dari Bank Pusat Turki untuk meningkatkan likuiditi ataupun kecairan sektor perbankannya. Tetapi Ketua negara Turki iaitu Presiden Erdogan telah menolak dasar ekonomi sebagai punca kelemahan lira. Beliau mengatakan bahawa Turki adalah sasaran perang ekonomi ataupun trade war yang telah membuat satu dorongan di mana tuduhan kesemua kesalahan yang telah berlaku di Turki adalah disebabkan Amerika Syarikat dan sekutunya. Untuk memahami apakah impak kejatuhan lira kepada pasaran tempatan di Malaysia dan pergerakan ringgit dalam jangka masa terdekat, saya ada di sini Manukaran Motain, pakar ekonomi Alliance Bank. Mr. Manukaran, thanks for joining us today. Just to give a little bit of context, can we understand the direct implication of the lira falling and how it impacts the local market here?
The local market, actually, the downtrend at the moment is not because of lira itself. Okay, what is important here we need to understand is the external events. The lira is one factor, and the other one is the trade war. Okay, on the impact on Malaysian economy, actually in the short term, the trade war is not going to be too negative on Malaysia, because we have to understand that that's the trade war between U.S. and China, and in this case, is actually what is happening is the uncertainties as a result of this, that has driven the markets as well as the currency. So in the case of Malaysia, actually, short term, it is positive, but maybe on the longer term, the second round effect from the lower GDP may impact on the our export to these countries.
The Turkish...
But we also have to understand, we also see the benefit of it is also there. The industries that are actually at the moment who are exporting from China to the U.S. May likely to shift their investment into the emerging economies like Malaysia or any other South nations. So that is one area of benefit there.
Right.
But again, whatever it is, we still have to wait and see how much is going to blow up. The impact, we fear the impact the impact on Malaysian economy can only be felt maybe about 6 months later.
All right, Ms. Manokaran, I just got to interject there. Just to give a little bit of context, in September, one Turkish lira was actually 70 cent Malaysia. That was in September, about a year ago. Now it's 1.5 lira to 1 ringgit. So basically we have appreciated so much against the Turkish lira. Do you think that this would spur growth of, say, trade, investments, or at the very least improve on tourism? Do we expect more Malaysians to travel to Turkey, for instance?
It's possible, but the thing is that on the trade side, we don't have much trade with the Turkey, so we don't benefit even if the currency. On the other hand, we are also not importing a lot. Now, if we look at it, the Turkish lira is cheaper now, okay, when you compare. So it's possible that, it's a beautiful country. Maybe it will encourage more people to travel to Turkey.
All right, final question is on the diplomatic ties, particularly between Malaysia and Turkey. The government is very new. It's still in its 100 days of administration. With the fall of the lira, do you expect Tun Mahathir and his comrades in the cabinet to engage more directly with Turkey?
That should be the way. That should be the way, because now Turkey is also quite it's a friendly party to us, especially our PKR president has been very close to the president, so that can sort of like encourage them. Now they are angry with the U.S. What we should do is we should send a trade delegation, try to encourage them to invest in Malaysia.
And of course, do you think that this will happen? I mean, of course, this is part of a wish list, but do you think that the focus by the government is actually looking into this quite seriously? Because considering that the importance of it is now, considering that Malaysia is appreciating against lira.
Yeah, that's one area of, when the investors want to come in, they will also look at it, the strength of this currency, again, vis-a-vis with their own currency. So, a direct, immediate encouraging or inducement will be more investment into Turkey.
Right. Right, thank you, Mr. Manokaran. Thanks very much. Itu perbualan saya bersama Encik Manokaran Montain, Pakar Ekonomi Alliance Bank. Kita akan rehat sebentar. Sekembali nanti saya akan berbincang bersama Hasif Murad dari Aberdeen Islamic. Anda sedang menonton 100 Hari Malaysia Baru bersama saya. Hari ini kita membincangkan tentang kejatuhan mata wang Turki iaitu lira. Analisis telah pun menyatakan bahawa ini telah menimbulkan kebimbangan mengenai penularan yang lebih luas yang merebak melalui pasaran global. Bersama saya pada hari ini adalah Hasif Murad iaitu pengurus pelaburan Aberdeen Islamic Asset Management. Hasif, thanks for joining me. The fears, is it founded or unfounded fears that this fall of the Turkish lira will impact global markets, particularly EM or emerging markets like Malaysia?
I think it's pretty sound fears at the start, Ibrahim. Firstly, you look at the amount of contagion risk there is within Turkey, one within the banking system, and when you have a banking system that's weak, the risk here is that it turns into a contagion risk for other banking systems in the region. Europe, as you know, is a big part of the Turkish banking system. BBVA of Spain, for example, has significant assets in Turkey. Middle Eastern banks have significant assets in Turkey. And so the worry here is the banking system collapses and that impacts other banking systems in the region. But also the other worry is that, the impact it has on other emerging markets that are weak and obviously vulnerable to investor worries and flights of capital.
Right. I just want to see, why is there little to no reaction from Malaysian, say, investment bankers or analysts, people like you? Are you guys cool with the idea that this thing's happening over there and there's no reactionary measures happening here?
Well, for one, I can say we're not cool about it in the sense that I think it's important to note that given the linkages between the global economy, any small fear or any small ripple can have an impact on all markets. So in that sense, in the Malaysian market, while the impact is minimal, there is an impact nonetheless. And because of the fact that investors are so global nowadays, a worry in the Turkish lira, in the Turkish economy, actually does have an impact on the Malaysian economy. So you saw bonds selling off, Malaysian bonds selling off, the Malaysian ringgit weakening on the back of the lira weakening, which leads to an emerging market currency weakening. So I think it is a cause for concern. But again, I should emphasize at this point the strength of the Malaysian domestic investor base. That's always a good anchor for any points of drastic sell-off.
Speaking about domestic investors, right now they are currently anchoring, as you say, the domestic market. Do you think that in the next coming week or upcoming weeks, we will see any change in their investment philosophy, at least, or at least appetite in terms of trying to hedge their position against some major currencies or some major economies?
Well, I can't speak for all domestic investors, but I think what is certain is that there are opportunities now to perhaps take up some risk. Outside of Malaysia, I think the sell-off, given the strength in the Malaysian ringgit, which has been surprisingly stable, is a good opportunity for us to consider other risk markets. So I think in that sense, some domestic investors who can invest globally would be looking to take advantage of that.
And final question, Hasif. I just want to focus on the mum and pop right now at home watching this. Are they entirely substantiated to be concerned at all about the ongoings between the trade war of the US and Turkey and all the ongoings of the global markets? Should they be worried sitting at home watching us right now?
I'd say at this point of time, they're still relatively shielded. I think your regular mom and pop are predominantly invested in Malaysian domestic assets, which I feel which is still pretty strong. So in that sense, there's no real cause for concern just yet for your average mom and pop. But I think it's important to also be mindful of where you're invested in. So if you've got asset managers that are relatively aggressive, looking to take global risk, which is unsubstantiated, then you might have a cause for concern. But if you're domestically invested in strong assets, then you should be fine.
Right. Thanks, Hasif, for that very enlightening conversation. Berikut adalah perbualan saya bersama Hasif Murad, pengurus pelaburan Aberdeen Islamic Asset Management yang berada di Kuala Lumpur. Sebelum kami akhiri rancangan ini, ada beberapa highlight ataupun yang perkara yang perlu kita fokus ataupun perlu kita beri nitik beratkan, di antara pergolakan perang dagangan ekonomi di antara Turki dan Amerika Syarikat. Lira telah pun jatuh mendadak dan susut nilainya lebih 80% sehingga kini. Jadi berhasil daripada perbincangan saya bersama 3 pakar ekonomi negara, seorang berada di Cyprus, seorang lagi Alliance Bank dan seorang lagi Hasif. Mereka menjangkakan bahawa pergolakan yang sedang berlaku di Turki mungkin tidak akan memberi segala impak yang besar kepada negara kita, hasil daripada sebab Malaysia dan pelabur-pelabur Malaysia tidak begitu exposed dalam pemerdagangan mata wang di lira. Walau bagaimanapun, antara perkara yang mereka harus perlu menitik beratkan adalah tentang ringgit dan pergerakan ringgit kita. Itu yang kita akan saksikan dalam jangka masa yang terdekat ini. Sekian sahaja untuk pada hari ini. Saya Ibrahim Sani. Terima kasih kerana bersama Astro Awani.